Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, the 2nd of September. So, looking at the starting off with the euro dollar. Of course, whenever we've pitched into a sort of a new level at 120 area, you start looking at, well, where next if we do get anywhere next. And I'm just sort of looking at that 120, 190 area. If the below the prior lows there, really, just seeing if we can get below those. Initially probably 122 is sort of on the cards then, I suppose, in that region. However, before we do that, just looking, it's just petering on a bit of softness here with this market. Okay, this candle's not finished, it's still a current weekly candle, but it does look, there is a bit of softness down there anyway, and it may be drawn in over the weeks, so a little bit of softness showing down. Now when you come into the dailies, you can see that running through here with the RSI generally pointing a bit south, and okay, price has been going up north largely. Yesterday it just pitched in on my 4-hourly. I redrew this trend line a little bit because I popped it across the absolute tops there. It wasn't quite horizontal, and yesterday I was really looking at that 2018 2019 sort of area with a confluence there, but it looks like someone else drew a line on here. Now these upper lines don't always really stop things too much. It's the trend line at the lows that has more significance. However, either way, it's done something there. It's pitched through. I wasn't shocked at sellers coming in at 120 for a little bit anyway, just to see if they could push it down. Well, it has pushed down. Now, what's on the cards for today? Well, we do have a daily pivot above, and just seeing a bit of divergence the other way on the short-term frame here, the 60-minute. We've got a bit of divergence between those lows, and in fact both sets of lows here, so we could be, it's just 1 minute past 8 as I'm recording. I may be looking for a longish, at least back to that pivot. We'll see. Maybe more, but it has got a weekly pivot below at the same time, so there's that sort of rock and a hard place situation here, and it may be just giving it a few minutes at least. But there we are with the euro. So I always do like the daily pivots hit. Daily pivot, would I come all out there? I'd look at the price action if it got me in the trade in the first place. I'd have to have a look at that, because it has got the 50 and the 34 sitting there with it as well. Although of course I'd like more, but if it's sort of giving me some lower highs in this 60-minute price action, if it's going to give me anything more and put a sort of a more significant lower high in here and reverse, well, I want to watch out for that. Okay, so that's the euro. Cable, the pound dollar, that is. Again, spiked up there yesterday and put that sort of weak candle in there. There's some sort of, again, visually you can just sort of see lower RSI over these highs here as a whole. They may not be completely correct in their positioning, but either way there's a bit of divergence across the 4 hourlies here, arguably as well. That's actually more recently dropped off, that's gone, but there was sort of that sort of softening approach. We didn't see the currency, the dollar, being sold at the same time as equities were going up yesterday, which is a bit of a change in play. Now the question of course is this morning again we've got daily pivot. Are we going to see these markets get back on their feet and push back up now? People have taken their profits and done more, or we're going to see more profit taking, more of a squeeze of the longs here. Of course, anytime a market gets up quite like this, you're getting people wanting to sell it because they're waiting for the big correction. Well, I don't know if we will get big corrections at the moment. There's plenty of doubt out there. Dollar yen got really messy here. I've got sort of these different little old trend lines on here. They've gone out of play a little bit. That lower one just corrected that. We're still in this larger downward trend on it. That's not really changed. I'm still keeping that on there. It broke out last week on Friday, broke out of this channel it was sitting in, only to develop a sort of a rising sort of wedgy sort of pattern there at the moment. Now again, at some point I may be looking for just a trend line across the lows there. It's a very simple breakdown, but for now it's consolidating messy and awkward. So that's that then. Aussie dollar, Aussie dollar's been a bit of a leader, slowly and surely at times, and plateauing out over weeks here a bit, but it's still edging its way further up gradually. Coming down to the 4-hourly, and again we've had divergence across the highs here. We have got a weekly pivot below, which could be a draw down there at some stage, and we've got lower highs coming in here, and no divergence here with this one. It does look, as I say, a little bit softer. The weekly and monthly pivots are sitting back down here. Maybe if we see a start of a correction of this, we could see more downside, but my preference is really on the long side, and it would almost be that I'd rather wait for it to come down here rather than try and trade it down here and wait for the bounce, see if I can catch a bounce off these levels to trade it back up for the sort of more intermediate time frames rather than the short time frames, although this could, as I say, it's all shaping up to look like it could roll over. That's Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. So yesterday even the Canadian dollar put in a bit of a reversal par there, little doji sitting at the bottom there, spinning top. Some may identify it as whatever. Again, another one that's got a weekly pivot that's not yet touched. These weekly pivots are quite good at getting hit, of course. Good probability, but shaping up where it is here. There's no real divergences at these around these highs here. There's where the price is lower, so is the RSI. It's all in line. But it's just a pattern. It's almost like if it breaks that low in between here, it gives us a lower high in and maybe more downside. Got the daily pivot below, which could still draw it. Not convinced with that anyway, but overall it's had a really good run down. This is the biggest retracement it's had for a couple of weeks here. A week a week even. It's only a 60-minute chart, so it's the sort of biggest retrace had. In fact, if I bring it back, and you can see it is a couple of weeks. It's not, I don't know, it's arguably that one was as big, but there we are. It could easily just continue in that downward route. That's pretty much all there. The S&Ps, as I said, they've been pushing up this morning. They're sitting there and just consolidated where they are at the moment, but they've been pushing up, making new highs. Can't see that one stopping at the moment. Yep, there's some divergence there on the hourlies, but we've had so many divergences up in hourlies and different time frames here on this market, and it's continued. All it tends to do at divergence is consolidate, maybe have a little retracement, but then continue. So any retracements really are buying opportunities still at this stage. Gold, finally. Just looking from this 4-hourly, too messy for me looking at this 4-hourly now. It seems to have lost its decent upward trend there that we once saw, that was pushing up for weeks and then there, but now it's in this consolidation phase. Okay, it's still arguably on this daily drifting upwards, but it's not so clear when you come down to 60-minute. In fact, lower highs confirmed through there. A bit of divergence though at the lows here, so a bit of a mixed bag. And you've got all these key moving averages to break through if it does stop pushing up. If it does break through those, well, maybe a bit more bullish back up to the highs there. But for now, patience. That's pretty much it. News-wise today, we do have ADP Non-Farms at 1:15. Aside of that, well, we've already had the data, so that's really it. 2 p.m. we've got the Bank of England governor speaking. Is due to testify about the economic impact of the coronavirus in front of the Treasury Select Committee. I think we know what that is, and we've probably heard most of those statements already. But 2 o'clock we may get a bit of volatility on the pound there, and we've got Broadbent speaking. I think most of the speakers get to speak at Broadbent is due to speak at the 2020 annual meeting of the Central Bank Research Association via satellite. That'll be a riveting one there. You can't miss it. Tune in. You may have an afternoon nap. Right, on that note, I wish you a great day. Bye for now.